Dear fellow engineers and friends, yes, I accept. I accept this honor as a graduate civil engineer of the University of New Mexico with humility. I do so remembering that I would not be doing so if it were not thanks to some people who cannot hear these few words today. It was my family in Albuquerque who, after 1940 and the collapse of France, where I was an engineering student, foresaw that there would be no future for me in France. At the urging of my uncle, my parents in France, after some hesitation, agreed to emigrate. After many difficulties, we undertook the voyage from France across the Atlantic, arriving first in Casablanca. You remember the film Casablanca? Maybe you do. But in my days, Ingrid Bergman wasn't there. It was just like that. After being detained for a month in Morocco, we finally arrived in America, strange for us, country of New Mexico in 1942. All of this would not have happened if it were not for the vision of my Albuquerque late Uncle Leopold, and with the courage of the late president of the University of New Mexico, Zimmerman, who, on his own initiative and without even knowing me, wrote a glowing letter of support for my entry into the United States and to the university. So I became a civil engineer with much patience from then Dean Ferris and Professor Wagner, then head of civil engineering. Well, it was at first difficult to equate my French educational background with the US system. And it was at first, and I was at first concerned to be accepted as a junior. What was that? I wondered. And then the faculty did not even use the metric system of measurement to which I was used. I remember my first introduction to American college life and how different it was from what I was used to in France. In those days, the University of New Mexico, it was civil engineering tradition, well, an excuse for a big party too, to paint some rocks in the mountains east of town. Maybe it still is today, I don't know. I was told it was my responsibility to get a keg of beer and deliver it to the site of the party. How was I to do this? I didn't have a car, nor was I used to American traffic. No problem, he replied. just asked Professor Wagner for his dirty green pickup truck. This would have been absolutely impossible to do in France. But Frenchy, as I was affectionately called, overcame his qualms and did as he was told, and we all had a great time. I realized that the way of doing things in America was often different from that of France, and that if I were going to make my life here, I had to adapt, which I willingly did. After a long and rewarding career as a civil engineer, which all began at the University of New Mexico, I would like to encourage you young students to follow in my footsteps. Civil engineering is a wonderful profession which contributes so greatly to the well-being of our society. Here we are.